day, everybody. It is Calxiyn here, and if you enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe for more ODDTAXI videos. Today, I'm going to be doing my reaction highlights and my review for the very first episode, and I'm so excited. But I do want to talk about a couple things first, because this is kind of similar to what I've done in the past, but it's also completely different, so I do want to discuss it a little bit. And this goes all the way back to the beginning of last anime season, if you want to call it that. The anime season where Shadow's House, My Hero Academia, and obviously this show all kind of premiered around the same time. It was April or May or around that time, and so I really wanted to do ODDTAXI. I felt it inside of my heart. I wanted to do ODDTAXI and Shadow's House. Those were the shows that I had picked. But there was a lot of pressure to oh, why are you doing this show? Nobody's talking about this show. Why don't you just do My Hero Academia? That would get more views and more attention. And so I felt a lot of pressure from outside forces to cover my hero and kind of give up what I wanted to do. And so I was okay, but you can pry Shadow's House from my cold dead hands. I will pick Shadow's House and My Hero. And then I went 7 episodes into My Hero Academia, and it was so fucking boring. I know, don't tell me. I know that it's getting better. From my understanding anyway. I know that, the big arc is happening and stuff, but I'm just, after episode 7, I was why am I here? What am I doing? This is, it's fun. It's fun to react to, and it's fun to watch. It's not bad, but, it's not, stirring my intrigue the same way as Shadow's House did. And, I kept kind of gazing over, longingly at ODDTAXI, but just, didn't start it yet. And so the reason why I'm doing it now is because, well, I've kind of given up on My Hero Academia. I have some more time now. And Shadow's House is also ending. So basically what I want to do is I want to premiere ODDTAXI alongside my Beastar Season 2 reaction and kind of have a furry hot girl summer. That's what I've been calling it. And so yeah, that's the backstory to all of this. And so this brings us to this video, because I think a lot of people will be surprised that I'm gonna keep my same format, even though we're not doing week to week finding stuff out, if that makes sense. You could go binge all of ODDTAXI right now and know the answers. I know it's a mystery. I know that somebody gets murdered, so you could watch it and then know who the murderer is, I guess, if they actually revealed it. Again, I don't really know what direction the show goes or anything. But, you could do that, and you could do that with Beastars, too, because it's gonna all drop on Netflix, on the same day. You could watch it all, but I don't want to do that, and something that I really regret, in my past anime series, Code Geass, and, Full Metal Alchemist, and some of the stuff that I did before, is that I really wish that instead of just doing reactions, I'd kind of paused and did reviews for those, but I didn't have that format back then. So it's you can't, cry over spilled milk. I didn't start this format until this year. And so, that's just how it is. You change over time, and then you wish that you could have applied the same stuff that you did before. And so, even though the show is done, I don't want to miss out on that. I don't want to miss out on, the week-to-week experience. And it probably won't be literally week-to-week. It'll probably be, every 3 days or something. I'll sit down, I'll do my reaction, I'll do my review, finish it, let it sit, and then I'll go on to the next one. Not literally gonna wait that long, and if you go on Patreon, you'll probably find maybe 3 or 4 that are already finished by now. By the time you're seeing this one, I'm not sure, but I just don't want to miss that opportunity, even though everybody who's seen it knows what happens. I want to cover it as if it is still week to week, and preserving that mystery and doing those hardcore analysis instead of just binging it. And so yeah, those are just sort of my thoughts on it, and I do know people that have reacted to old shows this way. My boyfriend is doing Red vs. Blue, which isn't an anime, it's a different show, but he does his analysis as if, a recent show. He does it the exact same way he does it for recent shows like Ruby. That's the 2 things that he watches. He reacts to Ruby and then Red vs. Blue, and he also does these big analysis videos afterwards, or I guess in the case of RVV, attached to them. And some people are always well, this season has been out for 4 years, why are you putting so much effort into it? But it's because when you're watching something for the first time, you kind of want that experience. You just don't want to binge it and get it over with. And so that's what I'm sort of thinking with this, is I'm gonna do this the exact same way that I've done Shadow's House, that I've done Attack on Titan, that I've done all of these other shows. I don't care if it's all out, I'm gonna do it the exact same way, and I hope that you guys will, have fun along with the journey. So the last thing that I should talk about is, all my other series, this is gonna be up on Patreon, and so the full-length timer and subtitle reaction will be on Patreon. It's a press play, when I press play, you have to sync up with your own version of the show. I watch it obviously on Crunchyroll. So you would go press play on Crunchyroll and then you would sync up with me to see my full-length reaction. But this is going to be my reaction highlights, and basically what that is it's just going to be like my reactions to the biggest moments, the coolest moments, and then afterwards I'll do a little review with some screenshots, giving my thoughts, and we're going to do our discussion analysis and theorizing session, and that is basically how it goes. And so yeah, now let's get into the reaction highlights. Oh, I already like this song. I know it's played for like literally 5 seconds. Oh my gosh, but oh, look at the little kitty cat. Oh. Ooh, that's cool. That's very like video game-esque, especially those Mario blocks. Is that gonna be the dead person? That white cat? Cause like she was just like in darkness and disappeared. That's not good. We don't like that. Oh wow, that was so cool. That was like a nice, like, very like, probably calm bop. Uh-oh. Well, that's definitely a dead body, right? Like, that's how you dispose of a dead body, like, from all the true crime that I watch on YouTube. Is he having psychic visions? Oh, okay. So that's probably the girl then. Oh, look at everyone. Oh my god. I love everyone's design so far. Like, this is so cool. Damn. Why are you thinking so hard, dude? Are you suspicious? Ah. This is so cool. I love, like, the environment so far, like, how they're building up the world. I really like this. Oh, wow, this guy's an asshole, bro. Oh. Damn, this man has anxiety. Oh, man. Damn, this guy's, trying to be an influencer. Oh man, this feels a little personal. How? Oh, gross. Oh gosh. No? Oh, that means that guy's not loved. Damn. Yeah, that is true. Oh man. That's interesting though. He seems not cranky, but like against the bullshit, you know? It's so funny that they're talking about likes and retweets when the beginning of my video was how I felt pressured to cover My Hero Academia. Oh no, that was the guy with the gun. Oh no. Oh, sir. That's interesting. So he said that him and one of the police officers and that guy are friends. But what if he's just manipulating his brother? What if it's like that he does know and they are friends? What if it's like Light from Death Note, like, you know what I mean? Working into the police department only to cover your tracks. Oh, see, they're getting along. That was weird though. It seemed like something happened to his parents or something. Like, that looked sketchy. Oh, he's making sure he gets home. Well, that's nice. Damn. Oh my gosh. These, like, newscasters are, like, fucking savage, bro. Oh, man. Oh, man. Did that guy forget his phone? Or is that his phone that he keeps in the back seat? Because, you know, you're not driving and texting, right? Oh, no. He forgot his phone, right? Oh, sir. He told you not to forget anything. Yeah. Oh, man. Oh my gosh. Oh no, it's the guy with the gun was in the back of the photo. Oh, that's so creepy too. Oh, that is not good. Oh, that's like, oh man, that's something else, bro. It looks like he's talking to that sheep girl. You know, like the one that we saw kind of sneak out of that area before? Past the other guy? Oh boy. I'm a little... So, is it possible that he brought her somewhere and now he feels guilty? He didn't make sure that she got home okay? Maybe that's why he looked through his rear view mirror at the other guy, you know? Well, that's, not good. I'm sure that's a red herring, though. I don't think that he kidnapped anyone. I think he's probably talking to, like, his cat or something, like, from the OP. Because Because, like, that does sound suspicious, but I don't think he did it, you know? Oh, okay, see, this is the doctor's office, I guess. See, that sheep lady looks like the same lady that was talking to the guy, but there are probably a lot of sheep, you know? Or maybe she's like an alpaca, I guess I should say. Oh, damn! I love that, though. He's just like, yeah, but you see, like, we know what a fucking cassette tape is. I feel that. I feel that so hard. I don't know about that alpaca girl now. Like, I feel like she's a little sus for some reason. Oh, boy. No. Is that legal? Question mark. Like, what? Oh, see, what if that eraser was the girl's eraser and the alpaca lady just pinned it on him? You know what I mean? Like, what? I don't know. I'm concerned. Because I don't think he did it. I don't think he did anything. Damn, you can't just take that? You don't have a warrant? Oh my gosh. Is this legal? I know, like, this is Japan and they have different, like, laws and stuff. Yeah, see, don't go to the police. Because, like, he's doing something sus. Yeah, see, like, what if he's not even solving the case? What if he just took the thing to, like, wipe them clean? You know what I mean? To, like, the corrupt police officer is just defending his friend. You know what I'm saying? Because, see, he said don't go to the police. And so if he was like, hey, police, this guy did a seizure on my car. Did y'all, know about that? And they're like, what the fuck, no, right? Oh, sir, that's not nice. Wow, you put your income on your dating app? That's, okay, that's a little intrusive. Oh, is he gonna lie? Sir, no, don't lie. Oh my God. Sir, that's not nice. You shouldn't lie to people. Damn. Oh, see, so they all know each other. Well, that's nice, I guess. He just has anxiety, bro. Like, I have anxiety too. Yeah? Okay, well, maybe not that. I don't hate people, but his parents abandoned him. That's interesting with what we saw before. I don't think so. I don't believe that. Oh, is that the alpaca lady again? Oh. Well, that's awful. But he kind of sounds like if he beat up another gang, though, he kind of sounds like anti-hero of some kind. You know what I mean? He sounds like a little, not Robin Hood, but kind of like that whole Phantom Thief thing, right? Like, yeah, you're doing bad and you're beating up people, but for a good reason? I don't know. Is it, though? That's very interesting. I don't know if I like that either. Damn, this show's calling me out. Uh-oh, somebody took some medication. Was it the alpaca lady? Oh no, what if it's like chloroform? I don't think that they use chloroform at the doctor. Ooh, that's not good. Oh no, is she selling drugs or is she trying to drug people? Oh nah, this girl's sus. Yeah, see, she's an alpaca and we saw an alpaca talking to the gun guy. Oh damn, I like that. Nah, there's something sus about this, guys. I don't like this. But they're gonna end the episode, aren't they? Oh no. Okay, yeah, see, it's this guy. What's your deal, bro? Oh no, see? There's corruption! There's police corruption! Oh, I hate that. Oh man. I knew it. I knew it too. I was like, nah, that's not. Okay. So that was like, I feel like this show was kind of going to be a slow burn. Like, that's the vibe that I got when I first heard about it. Was like, the first episode was good, but it wasn't like crazy. I think that it's going to be kind of like Shadow's House, where this is the first episode. We feel that intrigue, like someone's been murdered, the pieces are falling. Like, not totally crazy, but still like enough for us to kind of like think about and stuff. Definitely stuff to think about. I'm thinking about the eraser. I'm thinking about, like, the alpaca girl's connection to all of this, like the drugs. Okay. Okay, everybody, so now we're gonna listen to the audio drama. And I also know there's a rap song, there's like short stories, but like that stuff seems to be a bit like harder, like translation-wise into place. So I was told that I should only focus on this for now and not the Twitter account. Maybe I'll listen to the rap song, I don't know, but okay, so it's a bug. But he's just sharing this with like the world? Oh, okay, so was it the alpaca lady that was recording? Oh, a housekeeper. Okay, so the doctor has a housekeeper. I wonder if that'll be relevant later somehow. Okay. But what was the point of this? Oh, okay. Is that why it's called the ballpoint pen? He's talking about the pen. Okay, so this is where we're getting into it. A cute pen. So the doctor has it. Oh, does that mean this is gonna be like a mystery? Oh, is Yam... Okay, whoa. Is Yam the alpaca lady? Because, like, that would connect her if it was from the girl that went missing. I don't know, though. I don't know all their names well enough yet. Like, I haven't caught all their names, but it seems like that could be important if this pen belonged to her and then starts to like move around, you know, like throughout like the plot and stuff. So I guess that's why this is important, because that pen may be connected to the murder. I don't know, like it would be interesting too about the eraser, like if we kind of have to track both things. I mean, the eraser though, it wouldn't go. The eraser, though, like, wouldn't go with the pen in the traditional sense, but, like, if this was a girl coming home from school, you would think, okay, she would probably have pencils, an eraser, a pen, and so the alpaca lady is, like, pawning off all these objects onto other people in order to, like, you know, get rid of them, basically, and you would think that it would trace back to her eventually, but if you give it to enough people, like, if enough people, you know, pass it on, then, like, the evidence, like, anybody could have had it, you know, like, almost like if they pass on the pen, it'll touch so many people, like, the fingerprints will be, like, null, I guess, as opposed to just, like, dumping all this stuff, like, in a lake somewhere. I don't know, but now, let's go on to the review. Alright everybody, let us get into the review. Now before we get into the actual content of the episode, I do just want to start at the OP, because there's a couple things that I have been thinking about based on the OP, and then also I just kind of do that like every time we do the first episode of an anime. We gotta do that OP analysis first before we get into the episode. So, we start here with Odokawa. Oh my gosh, I feel like that I'm messing it up. I just listened to somebody say it. Odokawa. I think that may be more right. Anyway, and so he is here with this cat, and I feel like, and don't worry, like I will like get the name pronunciation more correct as we go forward, but I've only watched the episode twice, and I literally just listened to somebody say it like 3 times, and I'm still having problems, so I'm really sorry, but he is here with this cat, and I feel like that this is probably foreshadowing to the whole closet situation, because when you think about it, right, it seems like that they're doing this red herring of like, oh, you know, he's talking to someone in the closet, they all think that he murdered this girl, like it must be him, right, and I think that like us as like, you know, mystery genre people can tell it's a red herring, but that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to give us like a red herring of that he's the one who did it, right? And that the girl is just like in the closet or something. I don't think it's the girl. I think it's the cat that is in this opening scene. And I think that next episode it will be revealed that it was the cat and that he didn't do it. That's sort of what I'm thinking with that. Now, as we keep going, we do see the cat, and the cat is the same color, like in terms of like fur as the girl. Like they do both have like black fur, I guess. But I still don't think that that's supposed to be representative of her. I think that he will just have like a pet cat or something of that nature. And so what's interesting is then we have the girl group over here. And what's interesting to me, oh my gosh, what's interesting to me anyway is that they both have masks, whereas she doesn't. And I'll be very interested to like find out why. Could it be like a metaphor, like she's already wearing a mask at all times, you know, like a metaphorical mask so she doesn't need to wear one when she's performing like they do, maybe. I also like this cat looks like kind of like, it reminds me of a Neapolitan from Ruby, just like the ice cream colors. I think that's like, is that called a calico cat? Like if you have multiple colors of fur? I'm not entirely sure. Oh wait, are they cats? I don't know. I'm like looking at them and I'm like, I don't know, now, because, like, I thought that she was a dog. Maybe, like, they're both cats and she's a dog. I don't know. I don't know if that'll be important, but that's something I'm like, we'll have to see when we actually, like, see them in the show. Now, as for these guys, I think these guys are connected to these girls, because I think that we do see them in the TV studio. So really, this is just me trying to establish, like, who everyone is and who they're connected to. Then we have the police officers, and what I thought was really interesting is that this guy, who's, like, the sketchy one, I didn't get both of their names, but I think that this one's the big brother and this one's a little brother. But anyway, this one has glasses, and I think that that's how you can tell them apart, whereas this one has, like, naturally occurring, I guess, like, markings, like, on their fur. And so what's interesting to me is that they have this little almost, like, black mask, and you can kind of tell that that one's, like, the sketchy one, but that black mask actually comes back in the OP. And so, yeah, I think that I'm pretty sure that the guy with the yellow glasses, or just the glasses in general, he's like the good cop, whereas this one is the shady cop from my memory. But obviously, we're going to go into the entire episode, so I'll correct myself if I am wrong. And so as we keep going, we also see these two, which I remember seeing them, but I don't know where. And given the fact that the police are jumping on their heads, maybe there's some kind of connection with that. Maybe they're, like, a part of the police department, maybe they're, like, detectives or something, or, you know, some other, like, relation like that, maybe, like, the president of the police association, like, I don't know, but that'll be interesting to note, and so I'll see if I remember where I saw them, because I feel like that I did, and now I just don't remember. Then we have this guy. I don't think that we saw him at all, and so see, this is where I'm actually coming back to the whole, like, mask thing, and there are some things in the background that we could look at, probably, like, there's, like, a moose guy. I don't know what those other things are supposed to be, but something that caught my attention. Okay, well, first of all, Porcupine is being chased by, like, the bad guy, or at least the guy that the police are after at the moment. But what I noticed right here is that you have this person in the background, and they seem to have, like, similar markings to the police officer guy. So I was like, are you a robber in disguise, or maybe it's, like, a completely different character? Because now that I'm looking at them, it's not, like, a perfect match, but I was like, like, you look like you are suspicious. You know what I mean? Like, that this guy in the photo maybe, like, you know, like, almost like wearing a disguise for, like, being, involved in, like, nefarious things, and that could be, like, the police officer, and hinting to the fact of his corruption. At the same time, like, this kind of looked like a piano to me, or maybe it's something else, I can't really tell, but I was like, like, maybe I'm wrong, like, maybe he's not, like, a robber, maybe he's, like, a musician, or something like that. So then we have the bad guy, or at least the very aggressive guy that they were talking about this episode, and he is punching a punching bag, but it also kind of looks like a stick of TNT, and so that's a kind of interesting metaphor, but obviously I think it's too early to tell what all of that means yet. Then we have the guy that changed the monetary amount that he makes on the dating app, and so I wonder if that'll be relevant in some way. Maybe he has a lot of matches now, something like that, and I think that this, again, hints towards the fact that the person in the room, like, behind the door is just a regular cat, like, he didn't do it, because what happens in the scene is that this, like, area, this room turns, and then, like, the head turns with it, so it's kind of like inside of his head is the cat, but, like, not the kidnapped girl, you know what I mean? And so I feel like that that's what he's hiding, is that he has a pet, maybe from his landlord, maybe his landlord doesn't allow pets, and so yeah, I thought that the head thing was really cool here. I don't think I caught it perfectly, but then you have the llama girl, who, of course, or I guess not llama, she's an alpaca, I'm so sorry, you have her kind of, like, interrupting the scene right here, which is sort of interesting, like, given what we see her do in this episode. Like, she sort of serves as, like, the transition while the doctor is actually trying to still, like, help him. Maybe she's, like, not trying to help him. That's what it kind of feels like. Now, I'm not entirely sure which one, but I feel like that this could be some type of Roman numeral. I'm not entirely sure. Like, could it just be, like, a windshield, you know, shiny thing? Like, I guess. Or it could also be, like, an actual, like, character. Like, it could be a letter, and I just don't know. So let me know, you guys, if you guys know. But that's the first thing I thought when I saw it. I was like, like, that looks kind of like a number, and will that be relevant later on? But it could also be, like, a letter of some kind. So then right here we have the social media guy. That's what I'm calling him for now, because I wasn't entirely sure if we caught his name. And he actually, like, pops, and it's almost, like, seeming to symbolize the fact that he's getting so much attention that he explodes, right? And so I wonder if that's, like, foreshadowing of his death, especially because he did take a picture where the aggressive dude was in the back background. And so if they are like really like behind all of this or something, it's possible that they could kill him like in like retaliation or something for taking that photo. I'm not entirely sure though. And then we have a character who, again, I think that we saw, but I don't remember where. And they're in this very like Mario type section. Like there's the blocks, but there's also the eraser, and he punches the eraser. And I feel like that this eraser was probably something of the girls that is now traveling around. A lot like the pen that they talk about in the audio drama, which we'll talk about that at the end. There's also something blue at the very top here, but I can't really tell what this is, like in terms of a shape. Like it doesn't seem to be in any of the other screenshots that I got exactly. So I that's just something to note, is that there's like kind of a weird shape over here, and that could be foreshadowing to something. Now, at first I thought that this was the missing girl, especially because you have this scene where it's kind of like enveloped in darkness, you know what I mean? Like there's darkness all around her, but like she does have like white fur in this scene, whereas the girl that we saw on the camera had dark fur. However, the rest of her clothing is white as well, and so that may not be indicative of how she actually looks, because I was torn at first, because I was like, oh, well, you know, she has white fur, theory dead, basically, but then I noticed, like, her clothes are also white, so I feel like that may be more of a representation of the fact that she died more than anything else. And you also see, I'll just show you at the bottom, that the head actually has, like, that black outline, and so maybe it's, like, you know, from the back, it's like this like glowing white, like almost like an angel, but from the front you would see who she is and her actual identity. So I do like maintain the fact that this is probably the missing girl after all. Over here we see some birds flying, and really this could be anything, but it kind of reminded me of how birds fly away after like a loud noise, and so this could be representative maybe of like a gunshot going off and the birds fly away, like maybe hinting towards the fact of how she was killed, since this happens shortly after. And then you also see like the body falling in the lake, but we already saw the body, right? Like we saw the body at the very beginning and it was wrapped up. Obviously, like this could just be OP symbolism, but to me, I feel like that this represents either another character dying, maybe like he's a walrus, right? Like the other guy in the taxi, maybe the walrus guy dying, or this could even be like representative of like, oh gosh, I literally forgot his name again. Oh no, wait, like the taxi driver's the walrus, the other guy's the hippo. I mean the hippo guy. But yes, I mean our main character, our protagonist, this could be like the depths of his own mind, because it is kind of like more shaped like him. I'm not entirely sure. And then I think that we just see like the taxi, and that's basically it in terms of the scene. Now, this feels like very reminiscent of something, but I can't put my finger on it. Like, I feel like that there was this carpet that we used to have as a kid that looked like this for some reason. And so I just really like the art style of the OP and everything. And then with that, we actually get into the first episode right here, and the actual episode starting, I should say. And then we see what is clearly, at least to me, is clearly a dead body. Like, this is like textbook for how to dispose of a dead body, right? And I'm not saying, like, not from personal experience, but I watch like a lot oh dear, I watch a lot of true crime stuff, and so like this is definitely, you know, like put weights on it so it'll sink to the bottom and no one will ever find you, and that's fucking terrifying. So we could assume that it is the girl right here, but we could also say that maybe it's like somebody else entirely, and there's like more than one murder, or at least there will be as the show progresses. And then obviously, we have him waking up from a bad dream over here, I guess. And so it's possible that the news could have influenced his thinking, because I think that your first inclination is that, oh, like he's having a bad dream because he did it. Again, because they're trying to do this like red herring thing. But I think it's one of two things. I think that maybe she was actually in his car, as they say, and now he feels guilty because he didn't make sure that she got home okay, right? That something happened to her and she was kidnapped on the way home. And so now he's having nightmares about like what could have possibly happened to her. It could also be a case of just the news kind of influencing his mind, kind of like if you watch something on TV and then you have a dream about it, like it's just in your head. And so see, the news report is about the girl, and then he actually has a paper about the girl as well. And so I feel like it's possible that he may feel guilty because he drove her home but didn't make sure that she got home okay, and he just hasn't like told anybody yet, just because of how he feels about it. Now, I'm not entirely sure what's happening with the subplot over over here about like the Homo sapiens. It seems like that there's some sort of talent show or at least comedy show going on, but I'm sure we'll find that out later. And then we also see that he is taking medication over here, and so I'm sure that that's the sleeping pills that they talk about later in the episode. At first I was like, oh, is it because like obviously he's a walrus, he has tusks, right? Like that's the first thing that I thought of, and then I was just like, oh no, like it's his sleeping pills. I don't think that it's literally like Beastars where they need to have like, what is it called? Like hygiene day or like biology day. And so the people on the radio, they seem to have passed, and they're like, oh yeah, even amateurs could make it past round 1. And so this is what I mean about the hat. The hat here is yellow, whereas the hat in the OP is blue. And I don't know if that'll be relevant, but I feel like that it is important to note that his appearance is different, and so it could change at some point for whatever reason. Yeah, so they're saying last year they failed round 2, like the news people, and they're, you know, kind of talking to each other, like, oh yeah, like, that pisses me off that, like, you know, that we lost last year, like, those judges had no idea what we were talking about. Like, I wonder if that'll be actually important, or if that was just, like, world building. I do think, though, that this is funny, that they're like, I smell collusion, because, like, there is collusion, but probably not with the talent show. I think that there's probably collusion, like, in the police force, but yeah, I don't know how important that's going to be. And so I do like seeing this, like all of the sort of like blur, like he doesn't even acknowledge other people yet, like he's just zooming. I don't know if it's like that metaphorical, but that's what I sort of picked up. Like he's in his own little world, I think, like when he's driving his taxi. And so this person is mentioned in terms of like giving fan mail, and I do wonder whether or not that'll be relevant later, because she is basically saying, I'm assuming, I'm not sure actually. Anyway, this person, I should say, because I'm not entirely sure, they had sent in like fan mail about seeing the first round of the contest and is basically giving them some feedback. Now, I do want to like take a look at this just because it's interesting that he has like both a good luck charm and then like a little good luck charm that looks like a little chicken. And I do wonder if that blue thing in the OP could have been this chicken, right? Because like obviously it has this same sort of like shape where I was like, what is that, right? It kind of looks like the wing shape may be the same. And so if the eraser is there, it could be representative of how other objects are traveling around throughout the show. And so yeah, again, we just have some more criticism of these joke guys, and I do wonder if that'll be, again, if that is going to be relevant somehow, or in any way, like the joke situation. And I do wonder if the girls that are singing on TV are actually a part of a talent show versus just being pop stars, right? Because they do say this is Mystery Kiss's debut single, Supernatural Love Phenomenon, so that would seem to imply that the people on the TV, I think, were that band, and so they're already established, like not, you know, a part of a talent show, so maybe it is just a comedy show. Now, I would like to like comment on everyone's designs, like this, oh my god, I love this. I love the, like, that some people have like earbuds in, and like that they have their earbuds like in their like animal ears. I think that's great. I love everybody's design so far, and like this is kind of like a little bit of a spot the main character over here, because this guy is like the audio drama guy, and I think that that's it in terms of recognizable characters that I can see, except for maybe these two kind of look like the pop stars if they were in like regular uniforms, like that, especially the cat girl with the mask and all of that. And so maybe like this girl is like, you know, Hannah Montana, like she's living her normal life sometimes and then she's a pop star other times. I don't know, but there isn't really anyone else that stands out to me like, oh yeah, you were in the OP. Not quite yet. And there is actually like a close cut on him and then them, and so I feel like that could be important. I did like this scene just because, I don't know, like it's just nice to see people like living their lives, I guess. Like I know that that's just so random. I wonder if, again, they'll be important or something. And so it seems like that what this scene is representing is that, like, you know, you're in this workplace, right? There's this guy, he's wearing a suit, he's charming with the ladies, like these ladies are laughing at him, and then you have the janitor dude who was in the bar like lamenting about love and how like girls are superficial and they only want money, it's always about money. So I feel like what's happening here is like obviously he's doing his janitorial duties and he's looking at like this guy in his business suit being like, damn man, like those like guys that make a lot of money, like they get the girls, those girls would never look at me. That's a symbolism that I'm getting from like this scene. Then again, we have some world building, and I just think that like, again, this is so cute, and this isn't just world building, but I think that it's also like foreshadowing too, because like obviously like this is the bar and then we see the bar later. However, like now that I see this guy actually, is this guy the danger dangerous guy? Like, was she lying when she said that she hadn't seen him lately or something? Like, I'm not entirely sure, because I would need to see like the front of him. I'm not sure, but it could be. And if it is, that's kind of interesting that they set up like this guy talking to this guy and him being here and then him, you know, being the guy that everybody's after. But I'm not sure. And his tail looked like very much different. Like, it looked very fluffy. And so I'm not entirely sure what animal the dangerous guy is either. Then we have the alpaca girl, and she is stealing the medication. And this is like a very, like, it flashes so quickly that you wouldn't notice it your first time unless you were like pausing and stuff like that. Like, I was like, oh, like we actually saw her taking the medication. Like, that's really interesting. And so now the question is like, why is she taking it? And she does seem to feel guilty about it. I mean, obviously she could be just trying to make some money, but I wonder if she's in like some shady business, where she saw something she wasn't supposed to see, I guess I should say. She didn't need to see it. She wasn't supposed to see it. And so now maybe she's like, hey, please don't kill me. I won't tell anyone you killed the girl. You know, like, I'll give you drugs, okay? Get off my back, that sort of thing. Like, that could be a very interesting angle. And she does seem to feel guilty about it right here. Like, she looks at the doctor and then she walks away, and he seems to like notice something about her, but then he just goes back to reading his book. And then obviously, like, we do see the fact that we will be going here eventually. I guess we don't see that, but it's kind of like hinted at, or I guess we see it the very first time here, but then we arrive there later in the episode. So I really like stuff like that. See, this girl, doesn't she look like the girl that was on the street, but just like less like made up? Like, she had that same like hairstyle and everything. Yes. So see, this guy that I pointed out before with the other guy, like, he's like with the pop star girls and stuff. I think that I was right about that. And so yeah, then we get to see everyone a little bit more closely, but it doesn't seem like any of these guys are in the OP. They're probably just background characters. But if he's their manager and he's also caught up in some shady stuff or something, that would be like very interesting, like how all these plot lines are going to interconnect, because I think that they are. It's just kind of a matter of how. Okay, so I don't think the guy at the bar was him, because the guy at the bar had these like little like ear things, and I don't really see that on him. And so yeah, he's over here cleaning his gun. Probably not good. That's probably bad. And I really just like, again, seeing all of this like world building right here. I do wonder if this guy's gonna be important. I feel like we saw somebody similar to him in the OP, but I could be wrong, right? But like, he kind of looks like a main character, if that makes sense. Like, he just stands out a little bit for some reason, and so I'm like, are they showing him here for a reason? And it kind of looks like he's buying tickets or something. Like, maybe not a lottery ticket, but maybe tickets to the concert, because that's who he's looking up at. He may be like, yo, I scored tickets, I want to see them live. Like, it could be something like that. Like, now he gets to see them in person, his idols. I don't know. So then we are introduced to Hippo Man, and he is going to the same area where the girl disappeared, which is very interesting. I doubt he'll be like particularly connected to it, but he is here, and that is where he's going. So that's interesting. And he's trying to think, and at first I was like, why are you trying to think, sir? Because you committed a crime. But no, he's just trying to think about like how to succeed on social media, I guess. I guess that's what he's doing. So this scene kind of tripped me up a little bit, and I'll explain why. So he says, driver, has anything interesting happened to you recently? And so then he thinks, but it takes too long. And then he says, I'm starting to realize I wasn't that interested in hearing the answer to my own question, which is so fucking rude. But then he says, when someone asks me a question, I come up with about 5 possible answers. It takes time for me to choose the best answer that won't offend anyone. And so that's what I was confused about, because in some scenes, he's very blunt and like, not rude, but like cranky. Like, obviously, you know, the driver is kind of like a cranky old man, but at the same time, like, he said that, so maybe it's like with people he knows, he can be blunt and upfront, but with people he doesn't know, he does have that anxiety about making a good first impression. I bet you respond quickly with whatever pops into your head first without considering your answers carefully. And so I definitely think that that was like a savage thing to say. And so I feel like that what happened and why I didn't get it at first is because, like, at first he was trying to make a good first impression, but then Hippo Man was like rude to him, and so he was like, well, I don't need to be polite, and so he decided to clap back instead, which I think is kind of funny. And I do wonder if this is a lie, because he asked, like, why do you ask if anything interesting has happened? And then he says, I'm trying to go viral. But is that true? Like, he's from the same area as the missing girl. Is it possible that the viral thing was just like some sort of cover story, and that like maybe this guy is involved somehow, and he's checking like with the taxi driver, seeing what he knows, I don't know, or seeing what he'll admit to. Like, it could be something like that, or maybe it's just not that deep, because he does, in the OP at least, seem to have some sort of like social media obsession. So what's interesting is I also know that Odokawa does have like a social media account, like he does have a Twitter, and I did ask on the ODDTAXI Reddit if somebody could point me in the direction of the order which I should read those, but they basically said not to worry about it. Like they, the person that responded to me said that they haven't even looked at it yet, and they're like, finished the show, and so that's why I'm just focusing on the audio drama, and then obviously the show itself. But we will check those maybe after we're done. We could do a little sit down and look at all his tweets, because I love that. Like, okay, this is gonna be like a little bit of a this is gonna be a little bit of a rant, but as you guys may know, I am a graduate of professional communication. Why did I say it like that? That sounds so pretentious. Anyway, I have graduated from university, and my major was in professional communication, and so like I love this shit. Like, I love when a character has a Twitter account or an Instagram account and they post in character. Like, first of all, it's a great way to advertise the show. Like, you know, I love that. I love that. They did that for Miraculous Ladybug and they fucked it up. I have a whole video about how they fucked it up, but I love the idea of characters having like Twitter and stuff. But what I love more is kind of almost like the ARG aspect of that, right? Like the fact that you have this mystery and there's like clues in the Twitter account, and there's clues, you know, like in magazines and in rap songs and in audio dramas, like in, I guess, external material that is created as if it exists in the world itself. Like, I love that shit. And so, like, that made me really excited. I think it's very clever, like, marketing, but also very clever storytelling. And I think that sometimes those can be very much the same thing. Like, for something to utilize Twitter and other social media accounts, like, you could write it off as a marketing tactic or a marketing ploy. But in my opinion, it's actually kind of more than that, and like marketing the story kind of goes hand in hand with like, you know, creating the story. Like by having the Twitter account in the first place, you are creating intrigue. You're making that part of your writing. And so it's not just we want to make money, so we made a Twitter account, you know? Like it's not even like just that. Like it's much more deeper than that. When you can use another medium in order to tell your story, people will naturally gravitate to that creativity. That's what I'm trying to say. Amen. Anyway. And so then he says, I want my post to be spread all over social media. Why? Why? Because my friends have. And I'm just like, the call out, guys, I'm being called out. You're sure wasting your time on pointless shit, huh? See, so now he's like, okay, well, this guy was rude to me, so I can be blunt. I don't need to think of 5 answers. Like, I can just, like, you know, I can just speak. And then he says, it's not pointless, it's important. Likes and followers represent a person's worth. And I'm just here like, anyway, they're even used as evaluation criteria by job recruiters. Is that true? I feel like that's not true unless you're like already an influencer. Like I feel like if I wanted to work, I don't know, if I wanted to work for like the government or something, like I feel like they wouldn't be like, how many followers do you have on Twitter? Like maybe they would check to see like I'm not posting like whack ass shit, right? But I feel like they wouldn't be like, like Calxiyn only has like 4,000 followers on her fandom account, right? You know what I mean? Like not even something related to work. Like if you're a social media person, I guess your social media presence is kind of proof, but otherwise I'm like, is this true? Is this just something that you think, sir? I don't know. I do really like the meta commentary of this, though. He says, posts that make people laugh, emotional posts, refreshing posts about poetic justice. And so I feel like that's almost somebody getting their, like, just desserts, if that makes sense. And I do wonder if any of these Twitter accounts, again, maybe I'm looking too much into it, but I wonder if any of these Twitter accounts could be, like, important for some reason. You know, like, just, like, what if, like, this is, like, well, I don't know, the girl is one of these Twitter accounts or like someone attached to this like crime and stuff. I'm very interested to see what all these say, but I don't think that they tell us. Also, posts about foreigners' perspectives on gender in Japan. That was like very specific. That was like very, I don't know, like that was very random, but I do feel like that it's definitely true that people very much gravitate to like my day in Japan, my life in Japan, you know, going to the gym in Japan, like stuff like that. So I think it's definitely true that like foreigners do have an interest on perspectives, but I don't think that I think the gender one is definitely a big one, but I just think it's like everything, like even very mundane, you know, day-to-day stuff, right? I do like this though. I thought that this was like really, really funny in terms of a faked Twitter post, just because like this is like so true. So then we also see this person's profile, and so again I wonder if they'll be relevant somehow. The other day I overheard this conversation take place at the table next to me while working on a manuscript at Starbucks, and so there's something that they say later that like this guy like had to work in the fact that he's writing a manuscript, right? And so that's like so true. Like if your tweet goes viral, then it's like, oh, he's writing a manuscript. What kind of manuscript is he writing? Like not just to come off as artsy, but also to get like more opportunities or something like that, like to get seen. Like, you know how many ideas have been picked up by like not Netflix per se, but like other companies like in that vein, just because like a tweet went viral or something. Like it's like pretty legit, like how some people get deals with like Snapchat or like TikTok and stuff. Like again, maybe not Netflix, maybe that's over dramatic, but like those other social media platforms just based on like virality. Even like, okay, this is like so random, but do you guys know the show Bridgerton? It was like very big in January. Like it's like a kind of, I don't know if I would say Victorian, I'm not sure if that's the time period that it's in, but it was like, you know, sort of like that, like romance, like very like kind of not fantasy because there's no like magic, but very like princess, ladies and lords and courtships and, you know, like the queen, right? And stuff like that. And so these people made a Bridgerton like musical, like on TikTok. They started writing songs as if they were going to write songs for Bridgerton, right? Like if the musical actually existed. And now I think the musical is like actually being workshopped. Like it's legit. And I think that happened to the Avatar: The Last Airbender musical too, is that the girl got famous on Twitter. I say the girl as if I don't like pledge to her on Patreon. Anyway, and so yeah, so she basically like did stuff I think on TikTok and like on Twitter, and then like, you know, created this whole thing, and now like that's being workshopped too. And so this isn't the exact same thing because obviously like this isn't a part of this guy's manuscript, but it's so true in the sense that like when you post something and it goes viral and you just throw in that little like, oh yeah, like I'm a singer and I do this, and then everybody's like, oh, you're a singer, how interesting, let us view your song. Like, you know, if I made an anime tweet or something and I was like, you know, I'm an anime YouTuber, da-da-da-da-da, and for some reason it goes viral, that's planting the seed in people's heads to go check that out, right? To be like, oh, well, she said she's a YouTuber, let's go see, right? Like, and so, oh, that's just so real, like, it's just so real. And so anyway, then you have the conversation between these two people over here. And so I wonder if these people will again be like relevant or something like that, but I don't know. Again, they could just be like, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. Like maybe these characters are like, you know, just shadows of people we haven't met yet type of thing. But they do say that they're high school students, so I don't know how they would be relevant unless they're friends or something like of the missing girl. And so I did think that this was funny because this is such like, you know, they set up the punchline and everything, and they do like comment on this was so overwhelmingly precious that I wanted to give them a hug. And so I thought that that was cute too, because that's like such a, not a Twitter thing, like you can still feel that, but like, I don't know, there's something about that that's very like Twitter-ish. Like I saw this old lady today and I wish I could have given her a hug. Like when I post stuff like that, I do mean it because I love old people, right? You guys know like my grandfather's 92, he's an old person himself, and so like there are a bunch of like wholesome stories, right? And so yeah, like this is definitely a wholesome, you know, a wholesome story. By saying they were writing a manuscript. So I think I missed the first part of this sentence, but I think that he was basically saying like, yeah, first they need to flaunt of how like, you know, creative and like good they are by saying they were writing a manuscript. Plus you can practically hear them saying, not only did I witness this amusing scene, but my retelling of it is so pithy, like how pithy, how great is my taste. And so yeah, I think that that's so funny because that's so true, right? Because it's like showing everyone how funny and creative you are, right? Like, I don't know, like, that's pretty true, sir. Like, I don't know, like, you may be a little cranky old man, but, like, that's definitely, I feel that. It's not like you can make something up. Sure you can. This post is probably made up too, right? And so he's like, ah, well, you know, at least he actually saw it. At least he's not lying on the internet. And then he's like, no, like, the hippo guy's like, no, actually, you can lie on the internet. Driver, could you take a selfie of us together? Will that go viral? Just do it. And so now he makes up this story, and we actually get his name here, which I didn't notice before, so I don't need to keep calling him Hippo Guy. His name is Taicha? well, no, I guess it wouldn't be, would it be Chi? I'm not sure. But yeah, and so, Kabasawa. Okay, so let's call him Kabasawa. And so, hold on, LOL. I was telling, that's kind of a weird sentence to say. Okay, so hold on, LOL. That I was telling my taxi driver that I was having trouble finding a job. So he took my phone and was like, check this out. It'll cheer you up, and took a picture of us, LMAO. And so see, the guy, like the sketchy dude, is in the background. So I wonder if he will take retaliation on them somehow. But I do think that this is like so funny how we made up this whole story, you know what I mean? Like, this is exactly what they were talking about, and so I thought that was pretty funny. Wholesome posts tend to go viral too. Anyway, you picked up the term viral quick. Shouldn't you blur the faces? You mean yours? I guess some people don't like that kind of thing. So I thought that was funny, just because it's like, oh yeah, like he thinks it's to protect his identity, but he's like, no, yours. Why would I blur mine? Are you saying I'm deceased, or that my face is indecent? I wasn't entirely sure where they were going with that, but I did think that was pretty funny. And then we get stopped by the police. And so this is what I'm saying, that the guy with the glasses seems to be the one that is not sketchy, whereas the one without the glasses seems to be the sketchy one. Now, here's something interesting, though, that I just thought of right now. Could it be possible that that's what we think, but that he takes off his glasses and it's actually like the other one? Like, how would you know which one is which? Like, they seem to be brothers or twins, right? So could it be possible that we're jumping to conclusions about this guy? Like, even though they said that, like, oh yeah, he's friends, you know, with the sketchy dude, and like that may be, you know, like that may be true, right? Like, I feel like that's all pointing to him like being involved in like bad stuff. But what if they're both involved in bad stuff? Or what if like the glasses guy is involved in bad stuff and it's like a red herring or something like that? Like, I don't know. Because he says, that's odd, aren't you friends with him? And I'm like, how do you know that, sir? Right? How do you know that? And see, he seems worried. So he looks, and then he looks up and he's like, what? I'm asking for your convenience sake, use your head, right? And so they also say, what's he mean, bro? Ah, little bro, this guy's crazy. And so see, that would be suspicious, like for him to think, right, like, oh yeah, like this guy's just crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm not friends with that guy. Like, that would be weird. You know, he's a criminal. I'm a police officer. Like, that's how the scene comes off. But what if he's actually telling the truth? Like, what if he does think that he's crazy? What if he isn't actually friends with that guy? What if he saw his brother without his glasses, and that's why, like, there's all this confusion? Because he's like, what do you mean that I'm friends with him? What? Right? And so what if it's actually him pretending to be his brother, right? Or at least, like, he saw him and then he wasn't wearing his glasses and just thought that it was the other one. I hope that we learn these guys' names soon so we can have this be less confusing. Can't you brothers wait until you're at home to argue? We're good. Get out of here. And so, yeah, then he says, hey, bro, what did he mean when you said that you and this wanted criminal are friends, right? And so, see, he seems a little bit like, hey, bro, what does that mean, right? Like, he seems a bit like, I don't know, like that sort of like facial expression, but it could also be that he's scared himself. Like, he has anxiety because he realized that somebody saw him and thinks that it's his brother, right? Like, this glasses guy now is like, oh, like, bro, like, what did he mean by that? Because he knows that he saw him without his glasses and he's the one who's friends with the wanted criminal. Because he says, listen, little bro, don't listen to a word that comes out of that taxi driver's mouth. I mean, yeah, he's a taxi driver. Yep, that loathsome taxi driver tells lies like it's no big deal. What an awful guy, right? Like, and so I think that it could be one of two things. Like, it's not as like switcheroo as I'm saying. Like, maybe I'm making this like too, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm making this unnecessary, and like this guy is the actual sketchy one, and he's just like, you know, oh yeah, the taxi driver lies, like, you know, right? Or he thinks that he's lying because he knows that he's not friends with him, whereas this guy knows that he's not lying, right? And so I think that that would be more nuanced and interesting if the glasses guy is only agreeing, yeah, like, yeah, of course he's a liar, what an awful guy. Like, he's agreeing with his brother to plant the seeds in his brother's head or reinforce the fact that the driver is lying, when really, like, this seemed like a strange reaction, but what if he's just saying that? Like, what if he's just putting on this, oh yeah, that guy's awful, right? Because he knows that he's like been caught or been seen or something. So yeah, I like the idea that it's the glasses guy without his glasses that is the sus one, and not the guy that doesn't have the glasses. What a headache. And so obviously, he wants to take a picture. It looked like something you'd see in a drama. I don't like him. He's anal about stupid little details. And so I was like, what? Like, I didn't really understand that part, right? In terms of him not liking him, that would sort of imply they have some sort of history, but I don't know. You do have a license, don't you? Yeah, I guessed on the vision test, though. Like, I'm sure that this is a joke. That's hardly a minor detail. So I think that basically what it's implying is like, yeah, he's pulled me over before. Like, he's so anal about small details, like me lying on my vision test. And so I really liked this conversation and this banter. And then they both, I think that they both start laughing at some point. Not in this scene, but I think a little later. So why did you become a taxi driver? And then we have violence, question mark. Like, who knows what this is? And so we see red and we see someone driving somewhere. Like, maybe this is like him as a kid and like this is his mom maybe driving him somewhere, and this looks like it's a person, but this person also, you can't see their other hand. And so it would be interesting if maybe what happened was like the mom killed the dad and then like kidnapped him or something, but it said like both of his parents abandoned him. So what if it wasn't like abandonment, but like the mom killed the dad and then the mom went to prison and like then he just ended up like in the system or something, because that guy's missing a hand. And like, you know, like you can miss hands without having them cut off, obviously, but like that's just sort of the first thing I thought, is it looks like that this guy was almost murdered, and maybe like she like, you know, murdered the dad, kidnapped her kid, but then she eventually got caught and arrested. And that's why he ended up alone. Because I think that abandonment story is by somebody else. Like, somebody else says that. He doesn't say that. And then they both laugh at this time's up, which again, I thought was cute. So what's interesting is he checks the rear view mirror and then he like, you know, sighs. And so I feel like that he did that in order to kind of illustrate the fact that he's checking on all of his passengers as they're leaving because of the incident with the girl. Like, he watched him in the rear view mirror, nothing bad happened to him, he got home okay, like you would think, right? But he didn't get home okay because he was calling from a payphone, not from like his landline at his house, right? So that's the only thing where I'm just like, I wonder if he was just relieved just because, like, you know, he doesn't need to deal with another person anymore. It could have been something like that. And so again, we have kind of the subplot with the radio guys, like, oh yeah, I've been unsuccessful because I've been working with you. You can't say that on the public airwaves, right? So I wonder if we'll see these guys eventually, but I don't know. Like, I feel like they may be somebody in the OP, like maybe they're the two guys that the police officers were like jumping on or something, like who knows, but we haven't seen yet. And again, they're talking about this city, and this is the same city where they just dropped off the hippo guy and who is now calling on the phone. And so I really like how this like said like, oh yeah, public phone call incoming, and you obviously know what happened. So she's still missing. Yeah, that's what it said in the news. Sorry driver, I forgot my phone, right? And so obviously like he didn't get home yet, I guess. And so I don't know about that like whole like home safely thing, because he is like at a payphone. I told you not to leave anything in the car. Did it go viral? I hope she comes back safe. And so I wonder, because like this person does say like love right here in the fake Twitter thing, but I do kind of wonder if maybe it is blowing up because like that wanted criminal is in the background of their photo, and like everyone's like, dude, like that's a criminal on TV. Like it could be something like that, but we'll still have to see. And so then the guy says, I'm worried, okay? I'm worried about her. These are the guys on the news again, right? It's seriously concerning. Seriously, we're worried about you. What's gonna happen next? Well, if they're listening to this radio program, and so I wonder like what it was supposed to like finish. They were probably gonna say, oh, if you're listening to this, like please come home, please tell someone you're okay, or if you're listening to this and you're the murderer, like fuck you, is probably like what I'm sort of thinking. And then in the background, you do see that the guy that they're looking for is in the background of the photo right here. And so I really liked this, how it kind of like zoomed in on him, like that was really cool. Then over here we have this back alley scene where we see the sketchy dude and he is talking to the alpaca lady, and like the implication there I would feel is that she is giving him the drugs, that she's selling the drugs to him and getting some money back or something like that. So then we see this news broadcast again about the missing girl, and we see that she is in what looks like to be like a convenience store. Entering a taxi after leaving the convenience store. So I wonder if this store will be important somehow, if we'll see it in the future. And then we also see that he is listening, I think to the radio. Is he watching TV? Does he have a TV? Let's check very quickly, because he's looking at the radio and it's sort of implied that he does not have a lot of technology. So I wonder if this TV is just for like our sake as the audience, or if this implies that somebody else somewhere else is also watching the news, and we should keep that in mind, especially if we see something like this in the future, just because that gives us a hint at like whose decor that is, because I don't think that it's him. And so then we get, are you happy? You can run away whenever you want. I'm not trapping you in here or keeping you tied up. And so obviously, like, that would sound pretty suspicious, right? But I do think that that's just a red herring, and like, it's the cat. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's just talking to like a cat, like a pet cat, not the girl. Why did you come to my place? Oh, are you hungry? Right? Like, he's talking to like a pet. You know what I mean? He's not talking to a person, or at least it doesn't sound like it. Oh, and again, we see that he's wearing a blue shirt and the yellow hat, whereas in the OP he's wearing the red shirt and I think a blue hat. So I wonder if we'll get that costume change at some point. So again, he says, you know you can run away at any time, right? But then his gaze looks downward, and I feel like the reason why is because he is looking at a cat, right? Like, the cat has now come out of the closet, like come out of the room, and is probably drinking like the cup of milk on the table or something like that. It is not the girl. So then we have the visit to the doctor's clinic, and we know that this guy's name is Goriki, but I don't think they said what the alpaca lady, her name is yet. And so I don't know what this is supposed to be. Like, I'm not sure what the context of like Rakugo is or anything. I've already memorized it, you quack. But it kind of reminds me, I have this sleep app and it's called Headspace. You guys have probably heard of it. This is hashtag not sponsored, but if they would like to sponsor me, please. I still only use it for free. I don't even pay for it. And so like, there's this like, what do you call it? They call it Rain Day Antiques, and it's like this like 45-minute like soundscape thing of this guy like taking you through like an antique shop, and it's like descriptive words, and you're supposed to imagine it and fall asleep. I like listen to it every night. So I wonder if it's something like that, because he's like, how do you listen to him, right? Like, you listen to him on cassette tapes. Like, maybe it's a guy being like, bro, you're in a field and you're floating, or you're in an antique shop, or you're in, you know, a cafe, or you're by the beach. Like, it's probably something like that. So what's interesting is that she has an eraser that is like the guy from the cassette tape, I guess. I don't really understand it myself, but it's an original eraser. So it's an eraser of the guy who I guess makes the cassette tape things. Apparently there's only one of them in the whole world. Why do you have it? Well, and so see, that's suspicious to me, because I feel like that we have this conversation about a pen, right? And we don't see the pen, I don't think, in this episode. Actually, no, maybe that's it. Maybe this little orange thing is supposed to be the pen, but you know, we don't see the rest of it, so it doesn't look too cutesy or anything. But I wonder if like the pen and the eraser, she is pawning off the missing girl's objects onto people, so eventually like kind of the source gets lost, if that makes sense, like the source of who took them. Because if you give the eraser to the taxi driver and then he gives it away, or even if he doesn't, like, that's like, why do you have the missing girl's eraser? But it's the same with the doctor. It's like, why do you have the missing girl's pen? But the difference with the pen is that it's, you know, supposed to be something that you pass around to other people. Like, that is the cultural context behind, like, oh, it's a magic pen, you pass it on, right? So when you pass this stuff on enough, you know, it kind of loses who had it originally, or like, you know, well, this person got it from this person who got it from this person, right? And so it's kind of like getting rid of the evidence. But at that point, I'm like, why didn't you just dump it in the lake? Like, you didn't need to do all this. You could have just dumped it like with all the other stuff, like with a weight on it. You didn't need to like make it travel around. But I don't know. I'm sort of thinking that she's pawning off the girl's objects onto people. And so then they start talking about intrusive thoughts, which I think is just like, again, this show's getting a little too real, because I don't know if you guys know, I have ADHD, and like, that's like the worst. Like, when I take my medication during the day, they go away, but I always know when the ADHD medication wears off because I hear music in my head, or like the intrusive thoughts, obviously. When I say like music, I don't mean in like, you know, a like hearing voices way. I mean like literally like music like plays in your head. It's kind of a hard thing if you haven't experienced it before. Kind of like an earworm, where you're just constantly thinking about a song, but like all the time. Like, I'll wake up in the morning and I'll be like, you know, like Attack on Titan OP is just playing in my head, and I'm like, yeah, like that's like that's without my ADHD medication. So yeah. So what's interesting about this is he says, hey, what do I look like to you? And then he says a gorilla, and they laugh at that, and he says, you're not wrong. And I did see like kind of like a soft theory about this show that like like these people are not actually like animals, but that is just a product of his mind. Some people equated it to like synesthesia, and like sometimes when you hear about synesthesia, it's like, oh, you know, you hear colors and you know, you see music and stuff. Like it's a very complicated way to explain, but that's basically what I saw people were saying, is that they're all actually human. And so like this is kind of like a layered joke, because like obviously you could take it on its face, like, oh yeah, well, you know, he's a gorilla, like literally that's what he looks like. Because I think he meant like, what do I look like to you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like it could have been like, oh yeah, like what do I look like to you, as in like, who do you think I am? Like, you know, I'm here trying to help you. But it also kind of seemed like, hey, like medically, like you're having intrusive thoughts, what do I look like to you? Because they know that this is an issue of his, that he sees everyone you know, as like kind of anthropomorphic, and so it could be kind of like a layered joke in that way. But yeah, and so that was just something interesting that I picked up on, and I think that's like really cool. Like it could be the synesthesia thing, but it could also just be like his imagination, you know, and how he like sees and copes like with the world and all of that stuff. And that doesn't need to be something that's fixed, you know. And so I think that it would be sad if by the end of the show they like show them all as human, because I sort of like the idea that like that's not something about him that needs to be fixed. Like if it's not impacting his life negatively, like that's just his imagination. That's just how he sees the world, right? And so yeah, anyway, that's kind of like a little tangent, I guess. And then right here we kind of get that idea that yeah, he doesn't really like listen to technology, or listen to technology. He doesn't really have like advanced technology. He still has cassette tapes. He's listening to the radio. He doesn't have a TV. So I think we should look out for that TV. And I was like, oh, like is it the doctor's computer screen? But I don't think that it is, because the little tower that we saw wasn't there. And so I did like this, like, oh yeah, kids these days don't know what like cassette tapes are, because I thought this was so funny, because like this, like he immediately like shut that down. But we know, right, he's saying the previous generation knows about phonographs, right, and like all of that sort of stuff. And so I thought that was funny. Drop the generational gap crap, because that's so true. Like, you know, our past generation, you know, like my mom knows what like, again, a phonograph is or whatever, right? And so it's like, oh, I really like that. This show is like real. And then they talk about like him getting married, and I don't really get the Bruce Springsteen stuff. I do wonder if maybe like this is like a reference to something, like a movie, and it could be a crime movie, and so it's like relevant, because like and this girl's like, what are you talking about, right? And that's how I feel. And so I wonder if this is like important. Like I wonder if this is like an Easter egg of some kind. So you guys tell me, like, what is this? Like, what is the We Are the World? Who is this guy? Like, I don't know. Like it was just a weird conversation. And see, they talk about Stevie Wonder and Bruce Springsteen. So is this an alternate reality where we're all animals, or is this just how he sees the world, right? Anyway, so they have the whole Bruce Springsteen conversation. I thought that it was just like, I don't know, it was kind of random and funny and shows off their relationship with each other. And so especially this, like, oh yeah, I bet you can't say it, you know, 3 times fast and then he messes up. Like, I thought that was funny. Your next patient is waiting. Oh, what was I saying? Right. Maybe you'd sleep better if you got married. I know a concession of defeat when I see one, right? So he's basically like, yeah, you're just, you know, you're just saying that, you're giving up. And so it's nice to see that they're friends and he's not just, you know, like a doctor to him. They seem to be friends as well. Now, what's interesting is that I thought that the orange thing was the pen, but it's possible that this could be the pen, especially because it does look, I don't know, it looks normal though. When they said cutesy, I thought it would like have feathers on the end of it, maybe a little like, I don't know, eraser. I know you wouldn't have an eraser with a pen, but do you know what I mean? I was just like, is that the pen? Like, I don't know, it doesn't look that cute, you know? So see, this guy, like, what if this guy is the other guy, just without his glasses? That's what I'm saying. We received information linking you to the missing high school girl case. How did you know I'd be here? So he does seem a little nervous, and I think that's because she probably was actually in his car. Like, I totally believe that, right? Your car wasn't there. I thought about forcing your front door open, but so you'd force my car door open instead. Not if you cooperate with my investigation. Is this really an investigation? Why are you alone? It's simple. If you've got nothing to hide, open your door, right? right? And so again, very sketchy. Don't know if that's very legal or anything. And then he sees the dash cam, which obviously we did see previously when in the other scenes, like it was there. I did notice that. And so this dash cam allows you to film the inside of your vehicle, doesn't it? That's right. How long do you store your recordings? It starts recording when the passengers get in or out of the car, or if it detects odd movement, so about 2 weeks. Now what's interesting is he's not very technologically inclined yet. Like he has, you know, this like motion capture thing with like an SD card and all of that stuff. And so I think that that's interesting because one, I feel like that could hint towards the fact that he is a part of a company, like a taxi driver company, and this is like required, and that could have been one of the characters that we saw in the OP. Or like, you know, there's probably legally maybe you have to have something like this. I don't know, but it's funny because I doubt he would ever check the SD card himself. Like he doesn't have a computer, right? So that's something interesting to think about. But like, is this seizure? Is this illegal? Right? I'm taking your data. This is a seizure. If anything comes up, I expect your cooperation. Don't go to the police though. See, so that's sus as fuck. He's saying not to go to the police because then the police would be like, oh, we didn't do that, right? And then investigate him, right? And so I feel like that was the whole idea here, is that this guy is obviously like doing stuff under the table or something, because he's like, don't go to the police. Because if he went to the police and was like, hey, like, you know, one of your cops came and took my SD card, what's going on with that? And the police were like, oh bro, that, I don't know, we never got an SD card. And they're like, sir, like, you know, like, where's the guy's SD card? And he's just, you know, passed it off to the bad guy already. Like, that would be like super sus. So he's basically telling him not to go to the police so he doesn't get caught himself. So like the police officer doesn't get caught. Not sure, but I imagine a wanted criminal armed with a gun might kill you. And so that was interesting because that was just a fucking threat, right? He's basically saying, you know that we're friends. If you go to the police and tell on me, my friend will kill you. And so I wonder then if like his friend isn't involved, like they're not involved with the missing girl per se, but maybe like they want to do stuff under the table for some reason. So he's using his criminal connections as a threat, but maybe we'll do stuff legitly. At the same time, he gave the SD card to the criminal guy, and that would sort of imply that he did that. You know what I mean? That he either did that like because the criminal guy was the guy that did it, or maybe like the criminal guy is kind of like rogue and this sort of like, you know, revolutionary justice type guy. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but kind of like Joker in Persona. Like, you know, you're doing illegal things, but for a good reason. So it would be interesting if maybe like, you know, they want to execute justice on the guy that kidnapped the girl, but they themselves like aren't involved in the crime. So then you have the janitor guy, and he is looking at this dating app and the people on it. Like, it's basically like Tinder over here. And so he is in the bar, obviously, that we saw earlier. And so he's saying, you know, he's kind of telling this story about his job. He's like, oh yeah, my job will do fine without me. I should just be thrown in the trash. Like, you know, my employers would probably prefer someone younger. I can take a day out. Like, he's basically saying all this for sympathy, but instead then she starts laughing, which I think is funny. Like, the sort of commentary on people trying to like reverse psychology. Like, I mean, I've definitely done it before. Like, sometimes we're like, oh, woe is me. And like, we don't want people to agree with us, right? Like, we want people to be like, no, that's not true. And so, yeah, it's not like a malicious thing or anything, but just something I was thinking. And so then you see that he's like looking at his profile right here, and we get some information about this guy, but I doubt, like, I don't think that he did it, you know what I mean? So I don't think that that's, like, gonna be relevant, but what's interesting is, what again points to this idea of the fact that they're not actually animals is the fact that there's, like, no, like, species filter or anything. Like, it doesn't seem like this is, again, like Beastars where there's actual, like, context in terms of, like, oh, you know, if you're a wolf, if you're a carnivore, if you're a herbivore, if you're, you know, an omnivore. Like, it doesn't seem like that's relevant, so it would, again, point to the fact that they're human, but they're perceived as animals. And so then he changes his income from less than, 30,000? Well, that's 3 million, but I'm assuming that that's 30,000 in our money, obviously. Like, that's 3 million yen, but I'm assuming that that would be like 30 grand. So basically under 30 grand. Like, they always say like, oh, 30 grand is kind of like around what you need to like live and stuff. And so he's like basically like under that amount, like basically the amount that you have to live. And then he changes it to 20 million. And so what I'm guessing that means is that would be 200,000. So that's like, you know, you're working at a tech firm or something, you're making that kind of money. Or like, I don't know, like here, some teachers do make a lot of money in Canada. Obviously in the US it's completely different. Like you sometimes look at like public official salaries and you can find like the salaries for like people that are employed by the government, and that's a government number. That 200,000, that's a government number if you're high up enough, of course, right? And so like I'm just like, yeah, that's like a 1K, 2K, like that's a, you know, a rich man salary. Well, not a rich man, like rich man's like a million, but that's still like very good. Like that's like, you know, you're a very upper class, I would say. That's still a very good salary. So we have the doctor right here, and I'm sort of wondering if the fact that he is wet like on his hat and his jacket means something, because you can't see the other side, but I think the other side of his jacket is also wet too. And so I wonder if that implies that he gave his umbrella maybe to the alpaca girl, and that's why we see her with the umbrella and we see him like drenched in the rain. You know, it could also just be showing something about his character, that he is the type to like not bring an umbrella and be kind of like forgetful like that, or just like uncaring. But I know in Japan, like I feel like there's a greater emphasis on like having an umbrella with you compared to here. We may wear a raincoat, or we may just run to the car. You know what I mean? And so I wonder if that's telling about his character. There's some cultural nuance right there. So yeah, it seems like that they all know each other. They have a cute little conversation here, like, oh yeah, he called me a quack, and they all start laughing. Can you guys talk to him too about what? Tell him he has to go to a bigger hospital. Is something wrong with him? Don't you think he's strange? So he's basically saying like, you know, he should go to the hospital more, I guess, in the city, because this seems like a small town where like everybody knows each other and everything, right? Don't you think he's strange? He's always been strange. He hates people and is sarcastic. His parents abandoned him. I don't think his parents abandoned him. I think that the mom killed the dad and then the mom got arrested and stuff. That's what I'm sort of thinking. And of course he's twisted. It's not that, it's something more fundamental. And I'm just like, that's so sad that they're all judging him. They think that he's odd. I don't think that you're odd. I think that you're real. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing this the wrong way, I guess, but I feel like that we're supposed to be like, no, he's not odd, you know, like he's just a real guy. But maybe we're not supposed to see him as a real guy. Maybe he has to learn to, you know, be nicer to people and embrace like other people and like have a nice social life. Like, I don't know, maybe he does need to change, but I don't think that he's odd, I guess. Like there's like a line there between like, yes, like maybe you should be a bit more social, and then calling someone a weirdo. I don't think he's a weirdo, but maybe the point of the story will be that he does need to change. I don't know. Come to think of it, I saw Damien the other day. He said something odd. And so I wonder who Damien is. I wonder if Damien's one of the police officer guys, and then we just don't know, or if it's another character. Like I said, you have the police officer guys bouncing on the head of those two people in the OP. Maybe it's I don't know, maybe it's some police detective person. He thought he might be involved in the missing persons case. Could it be? He went to question Odokawa's neighbors. They said they heard Odokawa talking to someone when he supposedly lives alone. So I'm pretty sure that it was the cat, right? I don't think he kidnapped anyone. I think he's just talking to the cat. Maybe he was on the phone. I heard and so yeah, he doesn't have a phone though, right? So that's the thing. And I think that they may have said that, but I missed it. I heard the police were looking for Dobu. So they seem to know of him, right? And so then they say, oh, that dangerous fellow, ma'am, you know about him? What makes him dangerous? They say he beat up a group of thugs who got drunk and rowdy at a club by himself. And so you have all these rumors about this guy, and knocked out an underground martial artist with a single blow. I don't get it. The group that the underground martial artist belongs to tried to beat up Dobu, and then Dobu obviously like beat them up first. And so what's interesting is I kind of see this guy then, if he's like beating up underground thugs or something, like maybe he's like a rogue, like maybe he's not like a bad guy, maybe he's not like part of a gang, or like he's not like Yakuza or something, maybe he's against the Yakuza, maybe he's working against the people that murdered the girl. I don't know. I'm not sure how much of that is true, but I wouldn't want to get involved in him. Either way, that preposterous story is hard to believe. By the way, okay, well that starts talking about his like romance problem, so let's address that first. I think that maybe like what we've seen is also kind of like a red herring, like, oh, this guy's so dangerous, he's a wanted criminal, he has a gun. Like maybe like the show is supposed to teach us not to make like bad assumptions about people. Like maybe he's actually like a good guy and we just don't know it yet. Then obviously we get this sort of like marriage banter, right? And so I wonder how relevant that will be with this guy's like character arc and if that'll connect with anything. Is it money? It's always the money, isn't it? Money is a product of a person's abilities. Of course it's important, and I'm just like, I feel called out. I feel useless. Thank you. You don't know true love, ma'am. List the benefits of marrying you then. I pledge to never hit you. Don't list something obvious like it's one of the 3 non-nuclear principles. Yeah, so I'm just like, bro, that's the bare minimum. Like that's not even the bare minimum. That's just like the law not to hit people, you know? And so I thought that that was at least, you know, like they're all having banter with each other though. Like it's in good humor, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, I thought that it was a scene that showcased all their characters really, really well. So then we get the phone call about the medicine being missing. Some of the medicine is missing since when? How much is missing? I don't know when, but some went missing today. Psychotropic drugs, about 6,000 pills. So I don't know what that means. Is that like getting high? I'm not entirely sure, to be perfectly honest with you. It could be something like that, like, you know, I don't know. I don't know anything about drugs, so I don't want to say like, oh, it could be similar to this drug or it could be similar to that drug. I have no idea. But I'm sure something like that, yeah, like probably the black market or something. Like she's probably selling the drugs. I don't know what they do. I don't know what that means, but she's probably selling them, right? You're taking a taxi after work. Nurses must make good money. And so I feel like that's supposed to signal to us like, oh, well, no, nurses really don't, you know, like, as far as I know, I'm not sure about Japan, but like nurses don't necessarily like make good money. And so that's a signal to us as the audience, like, oh, she has enough money for a taxi. Taxis are kind of expensive. Like obviously she must have money, and she has money because she's selling the drugs. Like, I don't know. That's just sort of what I'm thinking. You remember me. You're the only alpaca around here. And so see, she starts laughing, right? And so I'm just like, I wonder if she's not really an alpaca. You know what I mean? Like that's just, again, that's just a product of his mind. And so she's laughing, and I like how she like throws his own words back at him. Wait, I like how she throws his own words back at him. Yeah, and so I really liked that. And then we cut to the sketchy criminal guy, and he is walking by and trading something for the SD card, right? So he probably gave him, I don't know, money or something, and then for the SD card, obviously. And so he wants the SD card, he wants the money or something like that, maybe information, who knows. And so what I'm thinking again is that our assumption is, oh, it's the guy without the glasses, right? Because he said like, oh, aren't you friends with that guy, da 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 da. But what if the reason why the guy without the glasses was so apprehensive to the accusation is because it was actually not true? It's the guy with the glasses that is friends with this guy and is doing all the sketchy stuff. I really like that idea. So then we have, do taxi drivers get a lot of girls? Depends on the person. I bet you get some cute passengers like idols, right? And so that's the thing that I'm like, that's a little suspicious, because it seems like she's almost trying to suss out whether or not he had the high school girl in his car. Like that's kind of what it seems like. And then we see this scene. And so yeah, isn't this the guy that had all the paper in his hand, right? And so now he's meeting the idol. And so that'll be interesting to see how all of this connects as well. And so he says like, sometimes, and so how have you been since then? Gone viral? And so that's the only part that I'm confused about, because it said, lucky dude, give me a break. And so I wasn't entirely sure what that meant, but maybe he's talking to the hippo guy. So like he was talking to the alpaca lady. She's trying to suss out whether or not he had like the high school girl in his car. That's why she's asking. And then he's talking to the hippo guy, or he's talking to the hippo guy like, oh yeah, like, you know, how has it been since you went viral, bro? Like it could be something like that. I don't know. And then finally, we're gonna go through this very quickly. You can find these by looking up audio drama ODDTAXI English subtitle. And so this guy is actually the same guy that we saw walking down the street, which is very interesting. And so he basically talks about how he goes to live performances. Well, he doesn't go. He taps into the microphones of live performances and like listens to them because he doesn't have money. And so he's basically pirating a live concert by tapping into their microphone like frequency so he can hear the concert without paying for it, I guess. And so he explains that, and then he found a wiretap. And it's interesting because this wiretap is inside of the doctor's office, and so they must have either gotten one of two things. I think that maybe they tried to get the alpaca girl to be cooperative in the investigation somehow, right? Because obviously this is a conversation in the doctor's office, and now she's trying to suss out, like, hey, do you ever get any cute girls, right? Like, at first I thought that she was with the criminals, but she could be, like, with both. She could be with the criminals and with the police, like, all in one, because the criminals are kind of the police when the police is doing sketchy stuff, like giving the guy the SD card, right? So I wonder if she was the one with the wiretap, like, she had the bug, because she was approached, like, hey, we know that you're seeing, like, this guy, like, we need to, like, hear his appointments and stuff, because he's a suspect in our case, and stuff. And so then we have the conversation, and so they have this conversation about frozen food and stuff like that. And so they do say, and I don't think that this whole thing is important, but they do talk about the landlord that brings him stuff, like, sometimes when he's sick. And so I wonder if we'll see the landlord. I wonder if maybe the landlord is, like, relevant somehow, like, maybe she won't let him, or the landlord won't let him have a cat, and so maybe, like, that's the whole thing. And so they talk about, like, frozen food, and I don't know how much of this will necessarily be relevant, but, you know, I'm keeping it inside of my head. I can't see anything that connects it right now, right? And so they also talk about a colander, I think, and so the bowl with a bunch of holes in it, and so I wonder if that's, like, gonna be, again, if that's gonna be, like, relevant somehow. And so I didn't really, like, pick up on the meaning of this yet, per se. It just seems to be a nice, like, little conversation between them, but otherwise I didn't see how it connects to anything quite yet. And so he says, I can't relate since I don't do the washing up. And so he does say you should definitely wash the dishes. So this is obviously the driver talking to the doctor, like, hey, you should wash the dishes and you should eat frozen meals. Like, don't you feel bad that your wife's cooking for you and doing your dishes all the time, right? Like, that's the vibe. And so then he says, let me guess what you're gonna say. And then he says, no, I get it, right? Because he doesn't want to reveal that he has a housekeeper, right? Like, he's already, like, drilling into him. Like, the driver is like, let me guess what you're gonna say. And then the doctor's like, no, please don't go on. Like, I get it. And then he's like, something like, we just use the dishwasher, or we mostly eat out. So that's what the driver thinks that the doctor's gonna say. But I think that the doctor's now embarrassed because those would be at least, like, less pretentious answers. But, like, oh no, we have a housekeeper. Like, that's a little bit more, like, bougie, you know? And so I feel like that's why he was like, no, please stop. Like, you'll reveal my secrets about my housekeeper. And I wonder if the housekeeper will be relevant, because you guys know it was always the butler that did it, right? To do the chores and stuff for us. But yeah, I do wonder if that housekeeper is going to be important somehow. And so then they keep talking about food right here. You can look up recipes on the internet, but obviously he doesn't know how to use the internet. And I think that will be important because, like, obviously this was a wiretapped conversation, and you can imagine that maybe the police were listening, and if they find out that he doesn't use the internet and, like, that's somehow important in the case, that could be, like, you know, helpful towards him. Like, the fact, like, listen, this man doesn't use technology or anything like that. Like, I don't know, like, that could be something. So then the driver says, by the way, something's been bothering me for a while now. What's that you're holding? And so they're talking about the pen, right? And so I do like this conversation. Do you sketch in your taxi while you're waiting for the lights to change? Like, I do like that, but he was referring to the pen. And what if it's because the driver did, like, pick up the girl in his taxi, saw that the girl had the pen, and now, like, the doctor has the pen, and that would imply he was in contact with the girl, but obviously it wasn't him. Maybe it was the alpaca lady. Like, it could be, like, maybe that's why the driver's asking, because he was like, I swear that was the pen that the missing girl had, and now he's like, if you keep it closely on your person, then hand it off to another, good fortune shall follow. I feel like this pen is like, rah, rah. That sounds like something a grade school girl would say. So again, that's a driver saying that. That sounds something like a grade school girl would say. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's suspicious. So I wonder if he finds it suspicious. And then he says, here, I'll give it to you. But we didn't actually see that. So maybe this conversation happened after the cut. Like, the whole, oh yeah, like, your next patient is waiting or something like that. Like, we kind of cut around there. And so maybe the examination wasn't over yet. It was kind of like, hurry it along, doctor. We gotta finish this. And so maybe this could either be, like, the doctor's appointment, like, that we saw in this episode, or it could be a later one in the timeline, or it could be a previous one. Does that make sense? Like, this could be, like, an old doctor's appointment, or, like, not the one we saw in the episode, the doctor's appointment that we saw, or maybe a doctor's appointment in episode 2 for all we know. I don't know. But yeah. who did you even get it from in the first place? And then he says, Yam, right? And so who is Yam? Who is that, right? And so that's the interesting thing, is that we don't know who that is yet, because I don't think that we heard the name of Alpaca Girl. And so maybe that's why the driver's so suspicious, because he's like, but who gave you that, right? And then we hear the Yam, and then it cuts. And so what if that's Yam? What if that's the Alpaca Girl realizing that the doctor just accidentally incriminated her and then cuts off the wiretap, right? Because if she got the pen and the pen is connected to the girl, then even though she agreed to help the police, it would point suspicion to herself. So I don't know. That's just sort of what I'm thinking. And with that, we end our Odd Taxi session for this week. I hope that you all enjoyed this video. Remember to check out the Patreon if you want to see my full-length reaction, but really it would help me the direct monetary support. You also get to join the Discord server and all those other rewards. But even if you have no interest in the full-length reaction per se, I would just suggest checking that out, because it would help me a lot. These videos take a long time to make. I can only do so many anime at a time, and so I really hope that, like, the Odd Taxi fans who have been through it all will appreciate, like, the time and effort that I'm trying to keep in, and, like, keeping the show, like, how do you call it? Like, keeping the essence of the show alive, in the sense that I'm not just binging through it. Like, I'm trying to kind of mimic the experience that y'all would have had by kind of going through things like on a week to week and really analyzing everything, even though it's already all out. Yes, the integrity, that's what I'm trying to say. So I hope if you guys appreciate the integrity that I'm trying to keep, like, of the show and how it was kind of meant to be watched or experienced, you could say. Yeah, you guys should check out the Patreon or becoming a YouTube membership member. And then I also have, like, a one-time, like, Calxiyn.com, like, tipping thing that I use when I stream. But you can send me one of those tips at any time and all of that stuff. And so, yeah, I hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye!